We are all doing life, but who knew life could be this funny? It's Doing Life with Maria and Chad. This is our podcast.
I could not be more excited about today's podcast because one of us, Maria or myself, had a crush on a teacher back in school. Who was it and why were we hot for teacher? That and more coming up on today's podcast.
You are a liar. You are a fake.
Maria and Chad present.
Is this for real?
Do you ever fake it?
Get the fake out.
That was a fake.
I think I'm for real.
Okay, good luck to you, Maria.
Thank you. I'm excited today.
What do you want your prize to be today?
Ooh, today I would like a lunch from Taco Bell.
Taco Bell lunch is yours. If you can figure out the fake headline, we're going to play Get the Fake Out. Today I have 4 headlines for you. Listen very carefully. If you can figure out which one is fake, you win lunch from Taco Bell. All right, here we go.
Deal.
Number 1. Lawmakers in Swastika, New York have voted to keep the name of their town.
Okay.
Number 2. Campbell's introduced hard soups. It's your favorite soups infused with vodka. Okay. Number 3. A new TikTok trend has students pretending to be kidnapped during their school Zoom to see how people will react.
Okay. That's kind of funny.
And finally, Amazon Alexa can now take care of a crying baby. Those are your 4 headlines. Think about it. If you really want that Taco Bell lunch, figure out which one's fake.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I think I read about Alexa and the crying baby. I think that's true.
Okay.
I also think the TikTok kidnapping trend, I think that's true.
Okay.
I've never even heard of Swastika, New York. So that one's a little question mark. And Campbell's and hard soup, come on. Come on, that cannot be true. So I'm going to go that Campbell's would not make a hard soup infused with vodka. I think that's ridiculous. I say that is the Chad, I made it up story.
There it is. I was looking for the right thing. You got it right. You get Taco Bell lunch.
Woo-hoo!
And the great thing about this prize, Maria, I didn't tell you at the start, you get to buy your own prize.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. Campbell's is not giving hard soups to us yet. That is one I made up. That's fake. But I did learn that Swastika, New York had a vote and citizens voted and they decided to stick with it because it was the name that their ancestors chose and they don't want to get rid of Swastika, New York, which is surprising.
With all the, getting rid of, the Redskins and all that, you would think this one would be pretty high up on the list to maybe change.
I wonder how big of a town it is. I got to look that place up. On TikTok, there is a trend that has students pretending to be kidnapped during their school Zoom. So you can look on TikTok to watch these to see how people would react. Imagine sitting there watching Zoom and all of a sudden the kid gets snatched out of a chair and disappears.
It would be great if all the kids planned it and they all did it at the same time. And then the teacher would be like, what the heck is going on?
Speaking of TikTok, later in the podcast, I got to play you some audio from a person that got caught talking about their hot teacher. So stay tuned for that. Also, a real story from Amazon Alexa. Yes, that can now take care of your crying baby. Kind of. It's I guess it's the rise of the machines at its best, you could say. Alexa has a bunch of new features coming soon. It will soon be able to lock your doors and turn on your lights without you asking, which is it's kind of creepy because
kind of scary, yeah.
Alexa could be like, lock the doors, turn on the gas, explode, light the match, taking care of crying baby by turning on a lamp or music. So that's their way of taking care of the baby. They'll turn the lamp on, turn the music on, maybe soothe the baby without you getting out of your recliner because you're trying to binge watch something on TV. And turning off your TV when it detects snoring. So if you're a snorer, I think your husband is, right?
Well, apparently we both are now. I don't believe him, but apparently I'm a snorer too. But
No, you've been
all fake
working
news.
hard. I think when I'm extra tired, or if it's a late night of cocktails or something, it's more likely to happen. But yeah, it'll hear the snoring and go, oh, let's save some energy and shut your TV off for you. But I don't know if I ever told you this about me. I love to have the sleep timer on because I hate to wake up to the brightness or the noise of a TV. You know.
I don't even know if we have a timer on our TV, but that would be good because we fall asleep watching TV all the time.
And it stays on.
One of us ends up waking up and trying to shuffle through the sheets to find the remote because it's always tucked underneath something and turns it off. But a timer would be actually pretty good.
What have you guys been watching? Anything special on TV?
You know, we have my husband. I'm not a big fan of documentaries. I like horror movies and crime movies and stories like your wife does.
Yeah.
But he kind of forced me to watch, what was it called? The King of Cocaine. And it was a documentary on Pablo Escobar.
Oh, I saw Narcos was a show about him on Netflix.
And it was really, really interesting. And then I came across this story. Wow. So apparently there was a rumor that Pablo Escobar hid money in the walls of his house because the police would come in and, you know, raid his place or whatever, and they never found anything.
Yeah.
Well, apparently his nephew, and I don't know which house this was because he had plenty of houses, but Pablo Escobar's nephew found $18 million hidden in the walls of his uncle's house. Now, this, of course, was after his death, but it makes you think. $18 million found. No one knew the money was there. Did he keep the money and not say anything? Or did he... Well, obviously we found out about it, I guess, so he had to tell somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure it was probably seized by the government. I don't think he gets to keep that. It reminds me, did you ever see the Benicio del Toro movie that was, we both live in the Phoenix area, in Chandler, one of the suburbs. They were, again, it was drug money cartel, but they were, from people that they killed, they were hiding their bodies in new homes in between the drywall. And so they started tearing the drywall out. That was like the opening scene to this crazy movie called Sicario, where it just, when you said that, it kind of reminded me.
What, so this was in Chandler?
In the movie it was. It says Chandler, Arizona on the screen. I don't know if it's just they picked a town or if it ever happened in Chandler. I don't know. I don't know the true story behind it.
I've heard of Sicario. Now, I guess this is the question then. Is it a documentary or is it just a movie? It's a movie.
Okay. And there's a second one too that, so this one dealt with the Phoenix area and the border here, and then the second one was like El Paso, Texas, and that border. But it's all about drugs and killing, and it's one of those types of movies. I do wanted to check that one out for sure. I think it might just be called Sicario 2. It might, I don't know. They might have called it something else. I do have a parenting question for you on today's podcast.
Oh, okay.
So my daughter, we got a puppy.
Yeah.
I was discussing this with some friends and they were surprised by me doing this. I got to ask you if I'm a bad parent. Am I a bad parent for charging? Yes. Thank you. Moving on. No. Am I a bad parent for charging my daughter $1 every time she leaves the toilet seat lid up?
Yes.
So it's a problem. And her bathroom, well, it's a community bathroom, but it's right outside of her bedroom, is one that guests use, that we use. And we now have a puppy that likes to drink the toilet water. Mm-hmm. So it's not just... This is the conversation that I had with some friends about it. So it's like leaving the cupboard doors open or the pantry doors open or dresser drawers open. You have to put the lid. I mean, guys for years have had, it ingrained into their mind that they got to put the toilet seat down, but it's the lid that our 14-year-old daughter can't seem to put down.
Well, you're not a bad parent. I mean, I said you were, but you're not, because every household has different rules. And if the rules are she wanted to have a dog, it's her dog, And if the rules of the house are, we don't want Juno to be drinking toilet water, she's got her own water, and the rule is put the lid down, then I can't argue with that. That is the rule of your house. And she's making money. She's babysitting, so she has her own money. And maybe when she loses that money, it'll sink in.
So how much money have I made so far?
$5.
0. Since I put a dollar figure on it, I have not made any money. It took that, she doesn't want to lose money. So far she's done well. But actually sometimes I'll just walk through there to see. But she's done. I mean, it was chronic up until the point where there was a dollar involved. And now she puts the toilet lid down and our puppy's not drinking out of the toilet. Speaking of daughters, I know you just had the Mom's Weekend at ASU over the weekend. What was did you go and do some keg stands? What do you do at Mom's Weekend?
Well, since it was because of the pandemic, coronavirus, it was all virtual. Mm-hmm. And so originally, she's like, hey, Mom's Weekend is coming up. And I'm like, well, do we have plans? And she goes, I don't know yet. So she tells me some of the plans for Mom's Weekend was Zoom yoga. Like I would go to her house or she would come to my house. We would do yoga together with the other moms on Zoom. And she's like, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that.
That is kind of dumb. Yeah.
And the other one was painting. So I think it's like the wine and painting classes you can go to. I think your wife has done a couple of those. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't want to do that either. I'm like, well, what are we going to do? And she goes, well, we're going to meet at so-and-so's house at 10:30. We're going to pregame, and then we're going to go down to Mill and go bar hopping. And I'm like, that is my kind of Mom's Weekend.
So this was 10:30 p.m., not 10:30 a.m., right?
Oh, no, this was 10:30 a.m.
Oh, okay. Our day drinking, I
yeah,
guess they
so
call
we got
it.
up early. I brought some stuff for mimosas. We went to Brandy. Now, Brandy is another mom. She rented a Airbnb or a VRBO, whatever. And so we went there kind of pre-gamed because that was near a Mill. And then we just walked to these different bars and really had a good time. And there was this one bar and I think it's called Sunbar. Uh-huh. And if you buy brunch, the entree brunch, you get a bottle of champagne for like $1.
Oh,
like
wow.
a whole bottle of champagne.
Okay.
And since we were drinking mimosas all morning anyway, that seemed like a perfect time to do it. So we went there, and it's cheap ass champagne, and then you have to pay for the orange juice or whatever juice you want. So that's kind of how they get you. Mm-hmm. But it was super fun, and there was like 10 of us at the table, so there's 10 bottles of champagne sitting there, and it was super fun. And we kind of did some other bars, and then we went to it's called Low Key, and it's a dueling piano bar.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. And Lucy wrote on the little sheet that it was my birthday, so she totally lied.
Of course.
So they sang some kind of birthday song for me, and I mean, it was super fun. And the best part was Lucy knows that I don't have my radio job anymore, and I'm not making the money that I used to make.
Right.
And so she was actually sincere, and she was very concerned that I was paying for everything. So she started like splitting the bills with me. And I thought that was really sweet. I thought that
she
was
does
nice.
well as a waitress, right? Where she works at the
she works
burger
at
place?
Hop Dottie, and she's actually making more money than I am, bless her heart. But I thought that was sweet that she would, wanted to share the expense of our Mom's Weekend.
So hanging out with your college daughter, who, by the way, is almost ready to graduate here at the end of the year and be out of college, in her natural habitat, were they selfie and Instagram crazy, or were they put their phone away and had a good time?
No, they put their phone away and had a good time, actually. In fact, I don't think she took any pictures. I took a couple pictures, but they weren't anything big. She, at home, like when she's at her house or with her friends, they'll do the selfie thing. But she kind of has learned that when she's out doing something, she wants to experience and be fully
present.
Involved in the happenings, which is kind of nice to hear from a 21, 22-year-old.
It's better than most adults that I see, quite honestly. They're sitting there looking at their phone when they're in a social setting. Something to think about. A question for you, and I have a reason for asking. I want you to think about this question, and then I'll play you some audio and you can answer it. But have you ever been attracted to a teacher that you had, whether it was high school, college, whatever? The reason I bring that up I was talking about this earlier during Get the Fake Out. There's a TikTok video that shows a college student embarrassed after she unknowingly made comments about her sexy guest lecturer. I guess the audio was on. Let's give it a listen here.
This man is so sexy. Are you kidding me? I will listen to anything you say.
Figured out that she's... We are recording, so let's go ahead.
So later on, the professor had to send out a message saying, your audio is active. But can you imagine how embarrassing that would be? Because they know who that person is. Totally busted, like crushing on your substitute college professor.
Holy cow, that is embarrassing. Oh my gosh. So have I ever had I don't think I've ever been attracted. Well, I guess I had a crush on a high school teacher. He was my art teacher. His name was Mr. Rochella. And he was tall and super fit. Like he worked out all the time. So he was like muscular and nice and kind of hot at what I thought at the time. But I look back, in my high school yearbook and I bring up his picture.
You're like, what? Was I
I'm
blind?
like, what the hell was I thinking? He is a total dork. But at the time, high school, 14 years old, What about you?
I racking my brain when I found this story about the TikTok. I don't know that I've ever had a teacher that I was attracted to. And that's an insult, I guess, if anybody that taught me is listening to our podcast or watching on YouTube. But I don't think I've ever been attracted to a teacher. I mean, in college...
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, in college, I mean, they were all like old and professory, I just... In high school, no. I mean, nice. I like a lot of my teachers that I had, but attracted, not so much. Yeah.
Did any of them really inspire you?
Oh my gosh, lots of them. My economics, I think he was economics teacher, and cross country coach comes to mind first because I was in cross country and spent a lot of time with him between cross country and track. My health teacher was my basketball coach. Like guys that were involved with my life more than just a classroom setting. My basketball teacher was also my health teacher. Definitely my college cross country coach. He's like in the Hall of Fame for cross country and like the most winningest coach in Division III cross country ever.
It's interesting that all the teachers that inspired you were sports.
And that was where I was at that point. You know what I mean? And even in the radio, like in college, I had a really good professor, John Madormo was his name. He was a guy that ran the college radio station. And he was hard on us, but like, he taught us a lot as well. So yeah, definitely not attracted to any of those people, just to make it clear. But they were very good teachers.
Well, I thought this was kind of an interesting story because it's a story that makes people feel good. Mm-hmm. There's a pizzeria. It's in Brooklyn, and they added a new menu item, and the menu item is just $1. And the menu item says comforting words for $1.
Okay.
And basically what will happen is for $1, when your pizza is delivered, your delivery driver will look you straight in the eyes and tell you everything's going to be okay and you're doing the best you can for $1.
For $1. I mean, it's like kind of a tip, but I guess anybody could use some positive words with all the craziness going on in the world right now. That's pretty cool. Where'd you say this was?
This was in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
But I think other delivery drivers, not just for pizza, but other delivery drivers need to take note of this and maybe just give those comforting words for free to the people they're delivering to. I think that would be nice.
I've noticed in my own life, like I've tried to tip extra when we've gone to restaurants, even if it's not the greatest service. Like I know I don't want to wear a mask, you don't want to wear a mask, and it's weird. And like we went to this place, we had the worst Mexican food. All of our neighbors are telling us about this place that had Mexican food, and we went there. We didn't even eat it. I mean, it was just gross, but the service was good. So I tipped him extra, but we ended up like leaving I think he was kind of offended. Like how often have you seen me not eat Mexican food?
Never.
Exactly. That's how bad it was. It was like, not good. So I do have an intro for our final segment of the show.
The final question.
All right. Our final question today comes to us from something I posted on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen this yet. I just posted it today. What's the crazy way you met your spouse? All right.
Okay, I actually met. We tell everybody we met at church, but we did not.
Yes.
We met in a bar, and I was actually at a going away party for an employee, and we left one bar, went to another bar, and I don't think you were around when Jets and Sticks in Scottsdale was around, but
No, I don't know that
Jets
one.
was the nightclubby, and it was connected to Sticks, which was a pool hall.
Okay.
Jets and Sticks. And we met at Jets and Sticks, and everybody was getting ready to leave. And I was like, well, I'm not ready to leave yet. And my girlfriend says, well, go talk to that guy. His name is Steve. And I'm like, you know him? She goes, yeah, go ask him. And I go up to him and I go, is your name Steve? You know, typical drunk, flirty Maria. And he
Right.
goes, actually, yes. And I'm like, no way. Let me see your license. And his name is Stephen Eric. He goes by his middle name, Eric, but his first name is
right.
Stephen.
Uh-huh.
And just for me to say, my girlfriend did not know this guy. She picked the name Steve out of her ass, and it just happened to be the correct name. Honest to God. And so I was like, hey, well, why don't you tie my shoe? Because my shoe was untied. And he goes, I'm not going to do that, but I'll buy you a beer. I'm like, okay.
That's
And
it.
the rest is history.
Wow. So if anybody guesses your name at a pool hall and asks you to tie their shoes and buy a beer, go with it. It could be your next your soulmate.
But yeah, that was the beginning of forever.
How
What
many
about
years
you?
ago was that? How many years ago was it for you?
Oh my God. So we've been married 22 and we dated for a couple years before then. So 24 years ago.
The story with us, I know I've told you this before, but people that are new to maybe didn't listen to our radio show or don't listen to the podcast very often, my wife and I met in college. I knew her my freshman year. The reason we started dating, I was in cross country and she was a cheerleader. So in my school, you go like a week or a week and a half early. You go back to campus to do that.
Oh yeah.
And I had called ahead to get cable in my room so that I'd have TV to watch, which is what you need when you're in college. You need a TV to watch. But I also figured out that I could make money off of it because I would drill holes in the walls and run cable all the way down the hallway and then charge people. So I got my cable actually paid for and then some.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, the old splitters where you split the coax cable and that. So I was giving cable to all of my neighbors and drilling holes in the college dorms. But since I had that, since I was back at college and there was very few people there, unless you're involved in cheerleading or cross country or basketball or something, I had TV. So I went looking through the college dorm. It was all female dorm for somebody to watch 90210 with me. And I knew Stephanie my freshman year, but when I went to their room, I was looking for Sarah, who was her roommate. And I don't think she was there, if I remember correctly. But somehow or another, Stephanie agreed to come back to my room to watch 90210 with me. Really not planned out, but we ended up kissing that night, and we've been together ever since.
Oh,
since
the old,
college.
well, let's watch some 90210 story.
Wink,
wink.
And I've seen it. That was like when I was in college. That and Melrose Place were like popular for everybody to get together and watch. And I've watched old episodes of that show. It is so stupid. It is like the dumbest. But at the time, I guess it was like study or watch this dumb show. I'd rather watch this dumb show. So
Or kiss the girl.
or kiss the girl, as it turns out. So I've got a ton of comments here already. I want to read through some of these people that follow us on Facebook. Crazy ways they met their spouse. Jesse, it was a blind date set up by a mutual friend. Todd and Cassie Stone King said, the New York Times in the personal ads back in 1994. We were married in 1995 and are still happily married to this day.
Wow, they met in a personal ad?
Yeah, back in 94. Wow. Sue, a local dive bar on a Thursday night. Then a week later, I asked him out when he was attending his 5-year class reunion. I kind of robbed the cradle. He's 7 years younger.
Oh. Nice.
Andrea works with her now husband. This is a happy and sad long story, but at a concert in Las Vegas, they were married for 33 years and Kathy's husband passed away. So I know Kathy is a top fan on our Facebook page and comments all the time. So sorry to hear that, Kathy, but thank you for sharing your story. We got Tom on here. Met my spouse at her ex-boyfriend's house. So I replied, I think we need more details on this one. And Tom wrote, I went to this house to hang out and she was there. When she left, he gave me her number. Yeah, he must have realized that he wasn't going to stick with this. Stick with her.
Interesting.
I don't know. Weird. Tom said, not too crazy. We met in a bar. I liked her boots. Now they've been together for 23 years.
See, it's all about the footwear.
Skateboarding. Linda skateboarding. The silly said he knew how and followed me down a big hill. Yeah, he knew nothing about skateboarding. And they've been together for 50 years. And last but not least, this one makes me laugh. Allison wrote, he jumped off a second floor apartment balcony to say hi to me as I was walking by.
Aw, that's kind of romantic.
Lots of good ones. So on social media, you can find us. Look for Maria and Chad. Doing Life with Maria and Chad is the name of our podcast. Instagram at Maria and Chad. You can answer the final question. It's, what's the crazy way you met your spouse? Make sure you comment and DM us or reach out. You know how to do it on the interweb. Lots of places you can listen to our podcast, not just this episode, like all of our episodes.
Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart. We're on radio.com now, I found out. Amazon Music, Pandora,
Google
Stitcher.
Podcast, Stitcher, Google Podcast, TuneIn, and YouTube. And Podbean. I forgot Podbean.
Oh, Podbean.
YouTube, you can watch the video from today and all of our other episodes. Just search for Doing Life with Maria and Chad. And can't wait to read all of your stories about how you met your lover.
Thanks again for listening to Doing Life with Maria and Chad. Follow us on Instagram at Maria and Chad and Facebook. You can now listen for free in all these places. The radio.com app, on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, the Amazon Music app, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Podbean, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode.